Hmm. How much should I summarize? I think long story short of what I was trying to say in those last like 11 minutes that I've been on is this video is all about if you're feeling discouraged or unmotivated on your goal getting journey and some of the things I've learned from my own experience manifesting and achieving goals in the past, but also helping women in my program Dream Life Academy, where I've seen people go through the ups and downs to get to a goal. And what it took for them to push through those moments of discouragement and being unmotivated. The first really thing that I wanted to share and offer you guys is focusing on the journey, not the destination. So sometimes when we get pulled off track or discouraged, it's because we could be comparing our journey to someone else's journey or just kind of really craving that end result that we forget that God has placed these desires on our heart to help us become a better person that He's calling us to be. That's what I believe, anyway. And if you're not a believer, you might put it in the context of, your goals are helping you just become a better person. Either way that you look at it, it's not about the end result. It's 100% about your journey and how you are evolving as a way to get what you want. And I believe that God places these desires on our heart because He knows that's going to be the carrot to keep us motivated to go through the ups and downs that come with evolving as a person. So whether your goal is to have a baby or to expand your business or to get a promotion or whatever your goal is, it's not about that end result, but it's about what is it going to take and how are you going to change as a person to get there and really relishing and enjoying the journey. I believe we all deserve to thank you, Anne. I really appreciate that. It's not about the end result. It's about the journey. And I feel like sometimes we can forget that because we get bogged down in the day to day of life. But I really think that if you think about when you're in a downtime on those journeys, what is this moment sent here to teach me? How is this helping me become a better person? That helps us move through it. And I kind of mentioned that my recent bout of discouragement and unmotivation has been related to in the last 2 weeks my kids have been home six days out of those 2 weeks, and that just adds a toll to me. It brings my mood down. One, because I also end up getting sick myself and then having to take care of little ones. But when they're out of daycare, I can't work and do the things that I've kind of set out for myself to do to achieve some of those goals that I'm working on. So it just makes things a little bit more difficult. And I felt like this season of me going through it, because I've been through it a lot with little daycare babies, has been about learning that it's about quality over quantity and being really, really realistic with my priorities and with my goals. So I have this long list of things that I want to do. And in a perfect world where I'm feeling at the top of my game every single day and I'm not battling things like OCD and my kids are never sick, yeah, I could do those things every day, right? But if I'm realistic with myself, I have likely put way too much on my plate and I want to lean into pushing because my word of the year is push, because I want to push myself to new levels and all of those things that I'm trying to achieve. But I want to push myself in a way that's more about quality than it is quantity. So not letting myself off the hook with my goals, but just being more realistic so I can kind of let go of the guilt and just work on things that I know that I can get done that are within my control, in a way that has grace and self-compassion. And says, yes, I get so impatient with myself. I want the end of the journey and I need the reminder. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. Yes, I think we all can kind of get in that, especially in this world of seeing other people's journeys at different points. We might be comparing our chapter one, I speak for myself, to someone's chapter 10, or you just really need that thing. Like, for instance, if it's financially related, you might really want financial freedom because it's going to change your life in a significant in a way. So I definitely understand. I think a lot of people can relate to that. So one of the things that helps me when I'm feeling discouraged is inoculating myself with inspiration and motivation. So, listening to things that motivate me and inspire me, reading things that motivate and inspire me, communing with like minded folks like here on YouTube to stay inspired. And I feel like just by tapping into that, you are opening the door for God to speak to you in ways that you may not have received if you just stayed in your everyday grind. So, for instance, God for me has really been calling me to stay faithful, and I've been receiving a lot of signs, I think, to stay faithful and to stay hopeful that He can do things that I can't even imagine in my life and in your life. And I've been getting constant signs about that. It's almost to the point like, okay, God, I get it. So, for instance, I read my devotional yesterday, or the day before yesterday, and there was a couple of words that really stood out to me, which was even if it's invisible, God is working in the background in favor of you. If you're not a believer, you can think about it in the sense of, the universe always has your back. There was the word hope. There was the two words stay faithful. There was another word in my devotional for that day. I was like, okay. And I had been receiving these messages. I went to work to see a client in my neuropsychology job, and I had to test them in a different room than I'm normally in. And there was a huge, like, motivational poster on the wall with all those words in it. And I was like, okay, I get it, and I've seen that in my own life. And that's another thing that can help you. If you're feeling discouraged, think back at a time where you got something that you really wanted, and it was harder than you thought. And you had those moments of doubts, but you pushed through and you ended up getting it anyway. That's happened to me in my journey to manifesting a husband. I remember being single, thinking there were moments that I thought I was never going to get married, that I would never meet someone. And yes, it was a long journey, but I did. And I'm glad that it turned out the way it did, because my husband he's not perfect, but he's perfect for me. Um, the same thing with my baby. I had people telling me to be patient. It doesn't always happen, when you want it to happen. And God said otherwise. Manifesting my PhD, there were so many moments of discouragement. If you know about a PhD program, it is so long. And I pushed through anyway. So remembering those times that you applied, a system to getting your goals, and praying and doing the work, and it worked out in your favor, it can be helpful. Because sometimes our mind, when we're thinking about the future, we sometimes forget, all the proof from the past, and we're just maybe focusing on the things that are against us and not how things in the past worked out for us. So it could be helpful to remember those times. And thankfully for me, I work with a lot of women, helping them reach their goals. And I get to see, like, the overview, the bird's eye view of them from beginning working with them till when they get what they want. And I witnessed those moments, discouragement firsthand, and what they're sent there to teach the person, whether that be to learn how to deal with depression, learn how to not care what other people think, learn how to not be so controlling in their journey, and to co-create and rely on their higher power. So just really focusing on your past, and things that did work out in your favor could be helpful too. Another thing I wanted to mention was to jump back into your set of routines. So let's say you fall off track with what you're trying to do every day. Like, let's say you have habits like making your bed every day, doing the dishes in the morning, or, just putting on a little bit of makeup, getting yourself ready, whatever your routines are that you've set out for yourself beforehand in a really intentional way. And you get into this moment of discouragement or not feeling motivation, and you fall off. Sometimes we can try to jump back in and just do everything we miss, like do a deep dive of deep cleaning our house, or we'll try to, I'm going to work out now 5 times a week for an hour, and you just try to take on too much. I really like to, when I'm jumping back in, and I've had a lot of opportunities to do this because, like I said, my kids get sick a lot, it's just jump back in where you left off, and still do that in a very small, self compassionate way. So, as if you never left it, not trying to make up for lost time, but like, I'm going to just, unload my dishwasher, do my 15 minutes of declutter. I'm going to put on a little bit of makeup. I'm not going to try to conquer everything that I missed out on. Uh, Anne said, oh, Rosalind said, so worth the wait. Yes. And being realistic is key. Anne said, yes, I went 10 years single before I met my perfect husband. Oh, I love that. Definitely worth the wait. I love that. That's so inspiring. Um, so that's really helpful jumping back into your routines. You got to get on your Zoom, as that new saying goes. You got to get on your Zoom, just show up and do things for yourself. Because I really believe starting with the physical instead of the mental. So we learn in the psychology world when you're trying to change your mood, a lot of us try to change our thoughts first, which can be really, really hard. It's easier to start with behavior. So start doing the things like your routines that you know are going to help you feel good. Start eating breakfast, taking your vitamins, getting dressed in the morning, all that kind of thing. Um, all the physical things that you can do first, and then start working on your mindset, because it's easier to work on what's tangible than it is in your mindset. And you'll find, because everything is connected, mind, body, spirit, once you start doing the physical things, your mind is automatically going to start feeling more motivated and happy. It's like almost like a cycle. So when we're on a downward cycle of feeling discouraged, you feel discouraged, so you don't really get dressed that day, or you don't, go hang out with your friend, and then you feel a little bit worse. And so you do less, then you feel a little bit worse. And then the next thing you know, you're depressed. And so to get out of that, it's just to do one thing: make your bed that day. You feel a little bit proud of yourself. You're maybe encouraged to take a shower, get dressed. You feel a little bit better about yourself. You're encouraged to, be more positive throughout the day. And then the next day, you're encouraged to maybe wake up a little bit early, and it's like a cycle upward. But it starts with taking that one step, even if you don't feel like it. So just think of one small thing you can do if you're feeling discouraged or unmotivated. And what's one really small thing you could do that would make you feel good? Maybe it's a hot cup of tea. Maybe it's just, getting up 10 minutes before your kids so you can have some quiet time, and that will help you start to get on that cycle upwards. And that's has a lot of research behind it as well. Also, so I talked about self-care, starting with the physical, working on your limiting beliefs. So this is something that can work in the background of our thinking when we're feeling off track with our goals. We might be falling into this any type of limiting belief. So I'll use myself as an example. For me, it's always about not being enough, not having enough. It'll never be enough what I'm doing, which sometimes can lead me to burnout, because I'll start doing a lot of things to try to prove that, or prove against that. Or it can lead, when I'm feeling down, if it's working in the background, to why even try, like I'm not going to get there anyway. This is that negative talk that's in your head. And it's important to catch those. When you start to notice that, I want you to dig a little bit deeper and say, what's underlying this? And if some common ones for yourself, you can kind of catch it in action and start to reframe it. And that's where your faith comes into it. I know that I can move through this. I know God will never leave me nor forsake me. I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. And just having the power of the consciousness of whatever belief is at play gives you the power to negate it. And it doesn't have to go away. You just want to bring in some other positivity to sit with that negative belief. So some other positive beliefs that you have that can kind of balance that out. So for me, I know that every time that I've wanted anything or needed anything, I was always taken care of more than I've ever dreamed of. And so reminding myself of that helps. And all those other like inoculations of being inspired, reading my devotional helps with that as well. I also do something called a focus wheel. So I don't usually share this, but since there's only 4 of us, I can share what mine looks like. Let me just share my screen. Present, share screen, share window. Here we go. So hope you guys can see that. I'll show you guys what my focus wheel looks like. I put all my goal planning stuff at the back of my planner. I move it because I like to just get into planning. But you'll see a couple things that help me with my staying anytime I'm feeling any type of self doubt about my goals. The first thing is under each one of my goals in the goal planner, you write why do you want this goal and why do you believe you'll have it. So reading these things can be really helpful. Just getting reconnected to your why. Another thing that I put in the Mod Ambition Planner to help with that is a focus wheel. Now, this is a sample. Yours, if you order it, will not have that. I don't know, printing thingy, my problem. So my in the center, you put the belief that you're trying to believe in or that you have any doubt about. And you don't want to think too much about the doubt. You just want to put the actual positive belief in the center of the wheel. And then around the wheel, and I have a special worksheet in the planner that helps you come up with these statements, are all statements that you believe in that help support the belief that you're struggling with. So if you're struggling, like for instance, I will reach all my financial goals this year. If there's any doubt around that, you want to have a something that you can read that inoculates your brain with all the positive beliefs that you have as well to kind of counterbalance that negativity. And it really, really helps mask out the doubt because positive attracts positive. And if you can lean into more so of those positive beliefs that you have, it helps you get to where you want to go faster. And these statements, it's important that all of these statements around here are statements that you believe in because you don't want your brain to tussle with it. Because once your brain starts tussling with something, it kind of goes straight to the negativity. That's just kind of how we're wired. So they have to be statements that you actually believe in. So I'll read mine. I will persevere and push forward. I can feel my success as inevitable. God continues to have my back. Money flows to me effortlessly. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I have more time this year. I'm more focused this year, and working on my business is fun. So, reading that in the morning when I look at my goals is helpful to kind of just keep me on track. So, that one that's a technique. That's all in the Mod Ambition Planner that I find helpful as well. I mentioned reconnecting with your why is helpful. And then radical acceptance, which just means it doesn't mean that you're accepting all negativity in life or that you are accepting things going wrong. It's really about accepting that the reality of the situation and thinking about is this a situation that I can have control over and can change? And if not, how can I be the change that I want to see in the world? Or and what how I really like to use it when I'm feeling discouraged is accepting how I feel, not forcing myself to feel any different, because again, that's going to work against you. But instead pivoting to what do I want to feel and thinking about what is this moment sent here to teach me? How is this going to help me become better? Like I said, for me, I know this moment of discouragement that I was feeling in the last couple of weeks was all about focusing on taking care of myself and being more realistic. And I feel like if those are two things I can get down, it's 100% going to help me move towards the goals that I do have. And so leaning into that. Let me see. Anne says, if I'm really struggling, I put on positive music, using the happiness of music to change my mood or to read Psalms. I love those, especially, well, reading Psalms, obviously, but music is really, really helpful for my mood as well. Thank you for adding that. And Rosalind said, I love that advice to remember that you have got through it before. Yes, that's really, really helpful for me. Thank you. It's hard for me to call you Rosalind here. Okay, so that is kind of what I use typically when I'm feeling down or discouraged, inoculating myself with positivity and inspiration, doing things to help myself feel better, like my routine, starting with the physical, like Anne said, listening to music, remembering times in the past that I felt discouraged and I still was able to manifest what I wanted, working on my limiting beliefs and reconnecting to my why. And like I said, that radical acceptance, trying to find the silver lining in the discouragement of what is this moment sit here to teach me. So I hope that helps. Um, someone that is feeling discouraged, if this is something that you're going through right now, if you have any questions about anything I talked to, if you're like watching this on the replay, please leave those in the comments and I will answer to the best of my ability, and hopefully other folks will chime in. But I'm hoping that this helps someone, because God placed it on my heart to share and not just go through the motions of my goals, but to just kind of be really authentic, not feel like I have to be always perfect when I show up, but to be real. And I'm really thankful that I have my planner to help me, honestly. And it doesn't have to be my planner, any system that you use to kind of track your goals, because it brings me back instead of continuing down that spiral. It reminds me of my goals. My vision board is in here. My why is in here. My focus wheel, like I said, is in here. And then, of course, tracking all my goals helps me stay on track and not give up on them in these moments. So, if you could find a system that works for you that can keep you on track, I highly recommend that. Um, I was going to go over my 12-week year weekly scorecard, but I think I'm going to save that just because this is getting a little bit long of a live. I'll just show it when I do it next week. But I hope this helps someone. If you want the scorecard, it's linked in the description. If you're watching this on the replay, I'll be sure that it's in the description as well. And thank you guys for joining me, and thanks for bearing with me in the initial technical audio problems. I really appreciate you letting me know, and I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much for joining me. Bye bye.